You get $100 though. And you get $100. You're welcome. How about you, DJ?
I am, but you don't have to give me one.
So we're going to continue with a thank you card share. And one of the things we want you to think about is, would you be more likely to conduct your financial business with a credit union or with a traditional bank? And then why or why not? And which one do you guys think is better? So just take a few minutes to kind of discuss with those around you.
But I've been like the same all my life, so I guess I kind of are. Yeah. I don't really have overdrafting, but then again,
So who's got some ideas? Anyone?
yeah, I think so, yeah.
Anyone at all?
What?
Who's got some ideas about what you would choose and why? Someone share, please. Chelsea.
Okay. I actually am like a credit union member and just a regular bank member. So I do like the credit union just because, like, I don't know, I tend to, from like talking to like our financial advisor, he says to put more of like your payments and stuff through a credit union because it looks better as far as like your credit score goes. If you're a member of a credit union, and that's kind of it.
And it usually it is up to personal preference, but we're going to talk to you about the benefits in a little bit. So what exactly are credit unions? They were started in the middle 19th century in Germany, and they were created by Hermann Schulz-Delitzsch and Frederick Rathesen. And they were just founded on the principles of democratic governance, the right to vote for leaders, member-elected directors, and they also maintain a volunteer basis, so that's how they run. And then credit unions gained in popularity in the 1920s because the stock market was doing so well. People wanted to purchase like high-ticket items like housing supplies, appliances, things like that. And credit unions were more likely to offer them with a line of credit because they specialized in doing personal loans rather than business loans. And then most of the early credit unions were in people's houses or near churches. And then, unfortunately, because the stock market was doing so well, the stock market eventually crashed in the Great Depression, which led to big changes in 1934. So in 1934, FDR signed the Federal Credit Union Act, and that just put rules and regulations on credit unions and gave them federal backing. They continued to grow, and then in the 1960s, they exceeded over 6 million members. And then the 70s were also a huge decade for credit unions as well. The National Credit Union Administration became an independent federal agency, and they did more to monitor how the credit unions were doing. And then as a result of that, the National Credit Union Shared Insurance Fund was established, and that protects the money of those that entrust their earnings to credit unions. And we'll talk about, we'll get more in depth on that later. And then in 1977, new legislation was enacted, and that just extended the membership services, offered bank certificates and mortgage options. And then the 80s were really controversial times, so popularity kind of decreased. And then in the more recent years, because of the recession, people started withdrawing their money from all financial institutions, so they became very endangered. And then the NCUA was looking to make people's money stay there, so they're gaining in popularity once again. Okay, and then there's many different types of credit unions. There are credit unions for educators, credit unions for kids, anything you can think of, there's probably a credit union for it. And it's based on certain criteria, such as location, occupation, that kind of stuff, religious affiliation. And you have different perks provided, because you're a member. And then, yeah, so once you're a member, you're always a member. And some of the perks include right to vote, and the thing that really differentiates credit unions from banks are low interest rates and higher returns.
Yes, and some more of those benefits is that credit unions have a more member-oriented atmosphere rather than banks are kind of impersonal. It's like they don't really care about you, and they're more expensive. There aren't necessarily those pesky fees at credit unions.
Right, and then we just have like kind of a funny ad that differentiates like banks from credit unions. So it's kind of like gives you like a humor.
Hi, I'm a credit union.
And I'm a bank, and I love you.
That was a little awkward.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. Let me try it again. I love you in a very real and legally binding sense.
Wow.
That stinks, doesn't it?
Well, I wouldn't say
You
this.
know what? I have a hard time expressing my feelings.
I totally understand.
I mean, we can't all be touchy-feely types like you.
I'm not touchy-feely. I just love my members.
Ooh, that's good. Hi, I'm a bank, and I love you, my members.
Except you don't have members.
I don't.
No, you have stockholders.
Should I tell them that I love them?
You don't need to tell them, just show them.
Doesn't involve hugging, does it?
So that's just kind of like a funnier like version of that. And it just goes to show you that credit unions are exclusive, so they only like cater to their members, and their experience with them is extremely personalized and intimate. So banks are kind of more of like get in, get out, whereas credit unions you can like take your time, like get to know them, and you feel really confident. They're also less expensive than regular banks. And then we also have a video clip that kind of talks more in depth on this. There's probably going to be an ad.
Instead of mailing everyone my vacation photos, I'm saving a ton of time by posting them.
I'll put it louder. But
I love that ad.
Welcome to the modern world. Esurance, backed by Allstate. Click or call.
So you might be thinking it's time to change. Done with the bank? Have you had it with the fees? Maybe you're worried the bank could fail. Is it worth putting your money in a credit union? We're going to ask early show financial contributor Vera Gibbons.
Good morning, Harry.
How do you make the determination? A lot of people are
Well,
switching.
a lot of people are. You know why they're switching? Primarily because they're tired of all the big fees that are being imposed by the big banks. They're tired of a really bad customer service. That's taken a hit. So they're making the switch from the banks to the credit unions. Membership's up 11% in the third quarter. 90 million Americans now belong to a credit union.
That's a lot. Who can join them?
Well, when you think credit union, if you haven't looked around in a while, you think, oh, they're for a niche group of teachers, steel workers, but they've really come a long way. They've really broadened up, fewer restrictions to join, the rules are sort of relaxed.
Right.
So a lot of these are community-based these days. It doesn't take much to actually join.
So how would you determine then, if you find out there are some in your community that you can join, how do you decide
Well,
which is the
actually, you
best
should
for
go to CULOOKUP.com and you can find out which ones are in your neighborhood, which ones you might want to join. You want to make sure your deposits are insured by the National Credit Union Administration. They cover your deposits just the way the FDIC does with the banks, up to $100,000. So you want to make sure about that. And one way to tell, Harry, there will be a blue sticker in the window of the credit union, or you could just ask. Make sure you want to make sure your deposits are insured.
So if it's a shack that's falling down and it doesn't have the blue sticker on it,
don't go there.
Don't go in there. All right. So the question I think a lot of people have is it easier to get a loan at a credit union because
the banks aren't doing any lending.
But that's sort of the reputation, though, from the past.
Right. Well, here's the thing. If you look at the bank loan portfolios, they're actually shrinking, whereas the credit union loan portfolios are growing. So what that means is if you're a credit-worthy customer, you actually do stand a better chance of getting a loan at a credit union versus a big commercial bank.
You can see where all these people are going over to change.
Well, they weren't caught up in the whole fiasco, the whole subprime mess that the banks were, so they were in a better position to loan.
All right, so what kind of rates, though, are we talking about?
Good.
Really?
Yes, you're typically going to find higher rates on deposits and lower rates on the loans. Taking a look at that car loan, over 6% in a bank versus more like 5% for a credit union. Adjustable rate mortgage, they're lower as well. Home equity loans are over a full percentage point lower. And credit cards, the interest rates on those, 20% lower at a credit union versus the banks. And that's because when banks make profits, that goes back to the shareholders in the form of a higher stock price. With the credit unions, profits go right back to the members in the form of those better rates.
Now, what about ATMs and those sorts of day-to-day services that way?
You can get all of the services you're going to find at a big bank at one of those established credit unions. At some of the smaller ones, though, maybe not. Some of the services might be limited. They might come at a cost. There might be some issues there. For example, some of the credit unions, the smaller ones, they'll issue you a credit card that's from a big bank, a Chase, and then you're up against the same sort of practices. They don't have the facilities, they don't have the capacity, but the larger established ones do.
Just in an overall, so many people moving over, how many, 90 million people?
90 million now join.
Is there any downside right off the top of your head that you can think of?
There's not a huge downside. One of the big pluses is that there are fewer fees. The fees tend to be a lot less, which is why people seem to like them. And the overall satisfaction rate, very high in the credit unions.
Very good. Very good. Very good, Vince. As always, thank you very much. To learn more about credit unions and banks, go to our website, earlyshow.cbsnews.
So that just kind of gave you kind of the differences between credit unions and banks. Banks are businesses, so they have to make their money somehow. And then credit unions offer a wide variety of accounts and services. You have your basic accounts like your checking and your savings. They also provide many different loan opportunities that you can take advantage of. Student loans, mortgages, other home financing loans. They offer small personal business loans and then things of that nature. They have really good convenience features like how the video was talking about drive-up ATM. Some of them have internet-friendly like apps, so like mobile banking and that type of thing, and rewards programs for their members. Like PNC has points, credit unions have like the equivalent of that. And then they're protected by the National Credit Union Share Insurance Fund, and that is the equivalent of the FDIC for banks. It protects and insures the money up to $250,000. The money is protected in a fireproof safe, and it's like also water resistant, and it has other shielding qualities to it. And as the video pointed out, you are aware that it's protected by that because it has the blue window sticker.
It all sounds pretty good, all those benefits that you saw in the video. For the most part, credit unions have all the advantages that a bank has, except you get to vote as members on your executive boards and higher-ups. They save you money because they're less expensive, those pesky fees, and your experience is a lot more individualized. But just like anything, there are some disadvantages too, like limited ATM access and restricted hours, like on the weekends, not open 24/7. But they have excellent customer service. So, yeah, of course there's disadvantages associated with credit unions, but the advantages definitely outweigh them because going to a credit union is more of an experience rather than just conducting your financial business. Okay, so there's community involvement as well. Credit unions, they strive to promote financial literacy to all of the public. One of the ways they do that is through what we just participated in, which was Finances 101. That was sponsored by the Credit Unions of Northwest Ohio. And then there's some facts that we found really surprising. Fewer than 30% of teenagers in America have had formal money management or financial literacy classes. So then when they go out, we're producing adults and working individuals who don't really know how to handle their money or do things like that. And then another thing that we found was 1 in 3 teenagers or high schoolers don't know how to accurately read a monthly financial statement, balance a checkbook, or pay monthly bills. So we thought that was really shocking because as college students, we're aware that we have apartments or going to get apartments.
We just think that everyone really needs to be aware of that because that's a huge part of your life. So credit unions are really involved with the community, just so everyone knows like how to handle their money and things like that.
So let's wrap it up. Credit unions, they are owned by members and operated by members. There are specific membership eligibilities. They offer a wide variety of services. They are monitored and protected, monitored by the NCUA and protected by the NCUSIF. But most importantly, they're super cool.
Yeah, definitely. And the presentation was a little bit short, but it was just kind of hard to get all the information because the history was very long, so we condensed it a little bit. And then credit unions are really similar to banks, so it was hard to kind of find a lot of substantial information to differentiate them and set them apart. So those are credit unions. And then we do have, if you go to your Canvas, I sent you guys all a link. You guys can just play the virtual hit the road game. It's kind of fun. It just kind of takes you through. It's similar to what we did with the Finance 101 online game. So that's pretty fun. So if you guys want to take a look at that, feel free. And then our
In the meantime, all the rest you got lollipops, not just you credit union members.
Hey Molly, did you make these bookmark things?
both ends.
Yeah, they are.
They double as bookmarks now.
Put it on your fridge.
Here, let me deposit
Use this at
I submitted it on Canvas.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I sent it as a PDF because I did it on Google Docs.
Okay. No, did you send me the link?
Oh, I didn't. Oh my gosh, I thought I did. I'll send it to you. I thought I sent it to everyone. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Come on,
It's not sent it to DJ, but you're on it.
my email.
No, it's the end of this. It says, yeah, because Dolly said it all.
Okay.
Trying to figure out how to send a group message on Canvas for 10 minutes. I don't know how.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had no idea. I don't really message on Canvas though, so that's why I didn't know.
I'm going to go.
I'm doing some good looking friends.
So, did you guys look at the difference between the programs?
For credit unions?
Yeah, for Hit the Road.
Hold on. I don't really know. Hold on, let me pull it up real quick.
Okay.
I did it last week, so I can't remember.
This is a problem.
I took a picture and sold it for $40.
Find a way to make money, to buy gas.
I'm just
That's
constantly
what-
driving.
Well, you have to.
Stop it.
Yeah, you stop there, so you have to like pick for stuff. Yeah. Wash cars for cash. Oh, yeah, you have to pick those things.
Sure you don't. Why is everyone being so okay, so spend another day, or can you do something else?
I don't want to buy spare tires, they're too expensive.
All right, now hit the wall. I'm with stomach, so you have to buy foods.
What?
Oh, that's the map.
Yeah, we started at DC.
Okay.
When it was rising.
That's where, yeah, that's where it starts.
Does everybody start in DC?
Yeah.
Okay, and where do you end up?
You just travel the road and then, depending on like what happens, start
Oh.
the game.
Is the object of it to get to the other side of the country?
Yeah. But it does take a while, so it doesn't have to take up the whole.
Gotcha.
I was supposed to do it before I did the summary, but I put the page too fast. How many days is it garden?
Oh, you will try the resident.
Chelsea, when I watched this garden,
Okay.
you were definitely too much food in here. I do. I have to buy food like every time.
Okay.
Just buy 30 things of food every time you stop. Not like. I'm sure you're not that somewhere. It takes, like, they like halfway through and I'm like, this takes way too long, that's why I'm extra busy doing what I flip to my summary. Okay, I just didn't want to talk about it. There's even toll roads. Yeah, it's just kind of like roads that you face. Yeah, it does take a while to complete, so I just did it in the order.
Philadelphia, okay. So you're on your way to Ohio? I don't know what the next one is. Or Indiana. Look at that.
Yeah, they eat a lot, sorry. They eat a lot.
Okay, so you only have 200. Was it really? So you went, yeah, I can't believe it. So look at their Yeah,
like
click on it.
Texas.
Click